All right, sir. Thanks, sir.
Frontiers Learning is the #1 tuition center for the CFA exams in Nigeria. Our founders went through their CFA journey with little or no support of any kind. However, they vowed to turn into reality the dream of every CFA candidate earning the CFA charter, irrespective of their backgrounds, finance, and non-finance alike. It is this commitment to support our candidates that influences our engagement of a world-class faculty, partnerships, scholarship and discount offers, our online learning management system, and so much more. Our clients' outstanding results across all levels of the exams every year attest to the quality of our top-notch physical and online program in the last 10 years. That's right, we have been impacting the industry for 10 years and have supported about 2,500 professionals in that time space. Register with New Frontiers Learning today. New Frontiers Learning is the #1 tuition center for the CFA exams in Nigeria. Our founders went through their CFA journey with little or no support of any kind. However, they vowed to turn into reality the dream of every CFA candidate earning the CFA charter, irrespective of their backgrounds, finance, and non-finance alike. It is this commitment to support our candidates that influences our engagement of a world-class faculty, partnerships, scholarship and discount offers, our online learning management system, and so much more. Our clients' outstanding results across all levels of the exams every year attest to the quality of our top-notch physical and online program in the last 10 years. That's right, we have been impacting the industry for 10 years and have supported about 2,500 professionals in that time space. Register with New Frontiers Learning today. New Frontiers Learning is the #1 tuition center for the CFA exams in Nigeria. Our founders went through their CFA journey with little or no support of any kind. However, they vowed to turn into reality the dream of every CFA candidate earning the CFA charter, irrespective of their backgrounds, finance, and non-finance alike. It is this commitment to support our candidates that influences our engagement of a world-class faculty, partnerships, scholarship and discount offers, our online learning management system, and so much more. Our clients' outstanding results across all levels of the exams every year attest to the quality of our top-notch physical and online program in the last 10 years. That's right, we have been impacting the industry for 10 years and have supported about 2,500 professionals in that time space. Register with New Frontiers Learning today. New Frontiers Learning is the #1 tuition center for the CFA exams in Nigeria. Our founders went through their CFA journey with little or no support of any kind. However, they vowed to turn into reality the dream of every CFA candidate earning the CFA charter, irrespective of their backgrounds, finance, and non-finance alike. It is this commitment to support our candidates that influences our engagement of a world-class faculty, partnerships, scholarship and discount offers, our online learning management system, and so much more. Our clients' outstanding results across all levels of the exams every year attest to the quality of our top-notch physical and online program in the last 10 years. That's right, we have been impacting the industry for 10 years and have supported about 2,500 professionals in that time space. Register with New Frontiers Learning today. New Frontiers Learning is the #1 tuition center for the CFA exams in Nigeria. Our founders went through their CFA journey with little or no support of any kind. However, they vowed to turn into reality the dream of every CFA candidate earning the CFA charter, irrespective of their backgrounds, finance, and non-finance alike. It is this commitment to support our candidates that influences our engagement of a world-class faculty, partnerships, scholarship and discount offers, our online learning management system, and so much more. Our clients' outstanding results across all levels of the exams every year attest to the quality of our top-notch physical and online program in the last 10 years. That's right, we have been impacting the industry for 10 years and have supported about 2,500 professionals in that time space. Register with New Frontiers Learning today.
Okay. All right. So good evening, everyone, and welcome. Okay. Thank you, Lali. Please give me the screen now, please. Stop sharing. All right. So good evening, everyone, and welcome tonight. My name is Ayo Akinrotimi, and I'm excited to be here. I hope you're as excited as myself. I'm going to be your host tonight. Welcome to No Holds Barred, things you weren't told about the CFA exams. And we're going to be exploring some very, very exciting, we're going to have very exciting conversations. And I believe they will be very fruitful tonight, and it will be very helpful to bringing you closer to your dreams, right? And that's ultimately ending the CFA chapter. So we're excited that you are here tonight. But before we continue, I'd like you to confirm that you can both hear me and you can see me. That I'm both audible and visible. So you could do that in the chat, or you could unmute your microphone if you don't have a loud background, and just say yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, okay. That one person gave the yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
I meant 1 yes, actually. But thank you. That's enough yeses for the night, so I'll just start. Okay. Oh, Shola says audible but not visible. Oh, okay. I think I understand why that is. Please give me a moment. That will be resolved shortly. Okay. Oh, like I said, we cannot see you, but we can hear you. Okay, so that will be taken care of in a moment, but let's get started. That will be sorted. All right, but then again, I'm audible, right? And we can pick up from there. All right, thank you. Adenise says I can see her here. Okay, excellent. So it will get better as we move on, but let's go on tonight. So welcome once again to No Holds Barred, since you weren't told about the CFA exams, and I'm excited to be here. I hope you are as well. And to join me tonight is the New Frontiers Learning team. I have Olawale Agboke, and I have Mr. Isiaka Akintoye in the room as well. All right. So tonight is going to be a very engaging one. We expect that you will make use of the chat room, that you make use of the chat box to drop any comments that you may have or questions along the way. But then we're going to have, okay, I think I understand what I'm going to say. So you're using two devices. Yes, one for audio and the other for video. So if you look at your screen, I've pinned the one I'm using for my video. So I should be audible, right? So if you move to the primary screen of your Zoom, you should see me there, really. I'm pinned with that one, right, on the screen. Okay. So if you know someone that should be in this room, thank you, Toby Loba. Says I'm both audible and visible. Thank you. So if you know someone who should be in this room, please reach out to them. It's going to be a very engaging and we're going to have very fruitful conversations tonight. So I'd like to go straight in. Tonight I have two very amazing people. First, in no particular order, but first is Olayinka Oyetunji, CFA, who is a charter holder herself, and of course, Adeni Adebayo, who is CFA, who is also a charter holder himself, and I'm excited to have them in the room tonight. So I'll just read their profiles, and from there we would just take it on. I'm sure they'll come up with their videos, and you can see them very, very soon. So whose profile first? I think I can hear you. I can hear what the majority is saying, so I'm sure they want ladies first. So I'll take Olayinka's profile first, right? So Olayinka Oyetunji is married and blessed with 3 kids. She's a charter holder of the CFA Institute, a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, and a chartered stockbroker. She works with Ernst & Young as a director, advising public and private sector clients in strategy and transactions. She has over 15 years of experience brokering mergers and acquisitions, valuations, financial modeling, and due diligence, as well as infrastructure and public sector advisory. Olayinka is also a CFA lecturer and facilitates various finance-related courses and trainings. She is the convener of Clean, a mentoring platform that uses storytelling to re-energize and inspire people. Sorry, just a minute. She serves as the chairman of the board of the Covenant Community Groups, right? And she's also volunteer at the Gender Diversity the Gender Diversity Group of the CFA Society Nigeria. Of course, you can follow her on LinkedIn at Olayinka Oyetunji. Please welcome with me Olayinka Oyetunji tonight. So, Ma'am, you're welcome. Excited to have you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. You're welcome. So I'll now take Olayinka's Adeni's profile tonight. They won't allow me they won't allow me call them by what I usually call them. So let me just call them by their first names for tonight. After tonight, go back to return to status. Okay. So Adeni is a senior business management professional with a strong finance and accounting background applied across various functions: human resources, financial control, tax management, internal control, governance, risk management and compliance, and business development. His over 2 decades of experience has been in different industries, from financial services, e-commerce, and mining logistics. Presently, he leads the people management team in FDN Quest. He holds a first degree in finance from the University of Ilorin, graduating top of his class, and an MBA from Lagos Business School, Pan Atlantic University. In addition, he's a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria and a charter holder with the CFA Institute. So please welcome Mr. Adeni Adebayo. Good evening, Mr. Adeni.
Good evening. Good evening.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. A privilege to be here.
Thank you. Just a minute. Okay, so you're welcome once again tonight, and we're excited to be here. And I'm confident that candidates are ready. Equally excited to be here, and everyone is ready to start. I like to say that this meeting would typically last for about 90 minutes, but I'm concerned that this one might spill beyond. I will do my best to hold it down at 120 minutes and just hope that it doesn't exceed that, right? And I'd like to thank and appreciate the speakers once again for finding time off their busy schedule to be here tonight. And we know exactly why we are here. Everyone must have seen the flyer, and the conversations are clear. But just before we even get into that, I always like to ask, right, why finance? And that's because on this CFA journey, you will come to certain points on this journey where you will ask yourself that question. In our local parlance, you will say things like, who sent me work, right? You will say, oh, I have colleagues, or I have a boss who is probably a chartered accountant, and he's good and he's doing well. So what's the problem? I think I'm going to, right? So you must have a strong why. So I'd like to hear what your why was, for finance and ultimately for the CFA charter. So let's start with you, Olayinka. What's it tonight? Let's start from there.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and good evening, everyone. Good evening, Adeni, my co-panelists. Thank you for the opportunity. I don't in any way take it for granted. That's a very good question, and I like the fact that we are starting with that because it is that why that gives you the staying power even when you get discouraged along the journey. And like what you said, there were many times when I used to ask myself that who sent me, especially because I already had 2 professional qualifications and I could as well stand very tall in the industry as, someone that was already qualified. But for me, my why was that I wanted to distinguish myself. I wanted to be able to compete with anybody globally. I wanted to be able to be an authority in finance. And that's really why I started the CFA journey. And I also made up my mind that no matter what it was going to take, I was going to give it until I got it. However, the journey doesn't even start with end with having the CFA charter. It goes beyond that because every day you have to keep defending your CFA charter. Because every time anybody looks at you and they know that you're a CFA charter holder, the expectation increases. And so it's a commitment to lifelong learning. So that's just what it is for me. And that was why it was easy for me to be able to pick up myself anytime I failed, even when I failed the 3rd time. I cry and move on and write the exam again and keep doing it until I pass. So that was the why for me. I just wanted to learn and I wanted to distinguish myself in the industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that one. I mean, it's either a strong one or nothing at all. It's either a strong reason or nothing at all, because you will get times where you query. So, I mean, thank you very much, Ma. Adeni, I think I've been more fascinated by your own. We've never gotten to talk about it, but I always look at you from afar and I just wonder how you ahead people management, right, with a CFA charter. I don't understand it. I don't understand why. People chase the CFA charter are highly technical people. They don't try to do a hybrid. They're either trading or they are doing portfolio management, but there's just something hardcore finance, right? I want to hear about that tonight. Well, alongside your strong why, for taking on the CFA journey.
All right. Thank you very much. And I will start by saying that this is not an unusual comment. I get it a lot, and I think that in different fora I've been able to explain, the just the connection between what I am doing and the relevance of the CFA program. I would say generally that as Olayinka said, taking this certification is one that gives you that commitment to always want to develop yourself, always be committed to the discipline that getting the certification actually puts on you. So again, as she said, it's something that when you are identified as a charter holder, there is an expectation from you, and you always have got to live to that expectation. So I work in the financial services industry. I work in FBN Quest. I head the people management function, or what we'll typically call the HR function within FBN Quest. And for me, I believe that as an HR person, HR starts from understanding the business. People are the ones who will do what is required. And if you don't understand the business, if you don't understand the kind of service that is done by your business, it's a bit difficult for you to be able to allocate the human resources effectively. And so today I'm able to go into various kinds of meetings, being able to deliberate and understand what your product is, what your competencies are. So, for example, every job requires a JD. And so if, for example, I require a portfolio manager, I know what portfolio management is. I'm able to come up with what the JD for that role is. If I am looking for a financial advisor, I know what financial advisory is, what competencies are required, the kind of things that you should have done, to be able to qualify for financial advisory, and
Yeah.
so on and so on. So whether it's coverage, whether it's the typical asset management, or indeed trusteeship, all of these things are different kinds of management of people's assets, whether it's private wealth management and all of these things. All of these things are inside the curriculum. And if you are adding the people management space, it's essential that, as I said earlier, you understand what your business is doing, and then you are able to allocate resources as you should, guide business as you should, And so, if I roll back a bit to the why, it really wasn't a difficult one for me because, as you read in my profile, I have a first degree in finance. And this is this is a path I had always wanted to chart. Indeed, I would say that I procrastinated. And I was just telling a colleague just before this session started, there were times that I would just play around the CFA website. In fact, I even forgot that I registered at some point on the website. And then I'll just go there, look at it, smile, and go out, look at it, smile. And then I hear what people say. It's a difficult exam. It's, all of those things that, you would typically hear about the CFA. I remember while I was in Oceanic Bank very many years ago, I had a colleague who, through my period in Oceanic Bank, and I was in Oceanic Bank for about 8 years, was on the CFA program, but never passed. And so, those things just stayed with me as regard the difficulty level of the exam. But at some point, I believe I somehow found the courage to rise above the stereotype, that had been given regarding the exam, and then, just decided to take the plunge. So that really was it for me. And once I passed the first level, I knew that there was no going back. So really, that was it for me.
Thank you very much. I mean, I see Olayinka smile, and I know that it looks like there are some similarities in your stories. So hopefully, at some point tonight, she's going to share that. And I only said that it's a deviation from the norm. And from what you see, people go through the CFA program to be, and I think you just validate a thought that I've always shared with people, that I personally believe that when someone goes through a program, say, for example, in college those days, a medical program that is probably the longest in an undergraduate environment, for example, 6 years and all that, or whether it's a 4-year program in social sciences, or a 5-year program in law or engineering or something. I personally believe that the most important thing that a person gets out of the program is not exactly the license to practice that role. I think it's who they become. You see, because you do something for 6 years, you're doing something for 5 years, not only do you pass through school actually passes through you, right? It does something to you. That's why people say accountants are a certain way, doctors are a certain way, lawyers are a certain way. When you say someone has been trained, it suggests that they are on a train. And when you're on a train, it means that it's headed somewhere, right? So that's essentially what it is. I think that what your points are very valid, and I believe in the power of a hybrid mix where you can actually create anything. So it's just like what technology is doing today in various sectors. Technology has, you infuse technology into finance, it becomes something else. It just seems like something else just comes out of the thing. You create something new. You infuse technology into marketing, it just becomes something else. It's like something is on steroids and produces something, and you're like, what kind of thing is this? And the results are, like out of this one. So your choice of career, your mix, it's rare, and I think it's beautiful. You are just creating something amazing out of it. Thank you very much. And I mean, it just means that there's no better person to be on this call than yourselves tonight. So thank you very much for joining. I think we should dive in straight. And this one is a big one for me, balance. But I think a lot of people would like to take on the CFA program. And you see, the point where Olayinka began to smile seriously while you were talking was the point where you said you would go and check the CFA Institute website and just dance around the place and even forgot that you had opened an account with the thing severally, right? And not to talk about the funny experiences of other people that were all around you. Now, balance. And one of the criteria when I was looking for people to join me tonight, I didn't want my younger friends who didn't have family commitment yet. Yes, there is their place, and I mean they occupy a special place in my heart. I love them, and candidates know that I love them. Like, that is what I practice. That's the only job I do. I just love candidates. That's the only job I do at New Frontiers. But the truth is, I think that there is a particular demographic that has family. And by family, it's not just spouse. They have spousal relationships. They have children connected to them. They have serious dependents, not even teenagers, as it were, right? Serious dependents, right? They have work. They're building a career because, again, I think that you have to be working to be able to fund these exams now. You have to be working to be able to fund these exams. In fact, the institute, even when you pass level 3, the institute won't give you your charter until you have proven to them that you have 36 months of qualifying work experience. I think in your own time, it was 48 months. It's now 36 months, right? You know, the benefit of Gen Z, right? So, but again, and then the Herculean task of passing the CFA exams. Let's talk about that balance tonight. And Olayinka, I hope that at some point you'll be able to share that your CFA story where you were going to write an exam and you got on the Uber or the taxi and the guy looked and said, hospital or exam? Which one exactly, right? You know, when you were going to write on your EDD, right, on the expected date of delivery. I hope you get to touch that point as well. It's always a very fascinating story for me. So let's start with you tonight. So that balance, in very practical ways, please. I want what people can actually take home today, Friday, and begin to use from tomorrow, Saturday morning. I believe you'll be able to do that. So please, let's go. Balance for you. Balance.
Okay. Thank you very much. So where do I even start from? Because when I even think about my story, it sounds more like a super story. If I'm not the one telling you, somebody who were relating the story to you, say, no, it's a lie, it's not possible, right? But the truth is, first of all, we should just make something clear that there's a price to pay and a sacrifice to make for success. It doesn't come easy. It comes by paying a price. That's the first thing. Is it easy? The answer is no. But is it possible? Yes, very possible. And if you listen to our stories, my story, Adeni's story, you know it's possible. So I started the CFA exam journey with a child, and I ended up passing with 3 kids. Because life can't stop, right? I can't tell my husband, no, I don't want to have a child because I'm like, yeah, but you don't even know where you're going to pass anyway. So, and I was also working full time. So, and that's the reality of all of us. I mean, it's not an exam for young people. It's an exam for people that already have, things going for them. You have your work going, you have family going, and of course you have other commitments. So the thing is having a plan for yourself. But before I go into that plan, let me just say that when I wrote my CFA level 1, my daughter was 9 months. By the time I was going to write CFA level 2, I became pregnant for my second child. And I wrote the exam with that pregnancy, but I didn't pass. But the pregnancy then maybe was like 5-6 months. So it was just normal. So imagine the demand of pregnancy on your body as a woman and the fact that you have to sit down with that rigorous exam and try to pass. I didn't pass that exam. So immediately I gave birth, I started preparing for my CFA level 2 again. So I started reading 2 weeks after I delivered. You can imagine. So during my mat leave, I was reading. I'll be reading and be breastfeeding. It's not a lie.
Wow.
My books will be on the table, reading, and I'll be breastfeeding, and just make sure that I just do what I need to do. That particular exam, which was my second attempt at CFA level 2, I did not pass that exam. I failed on a band 9. You can imagine how
I know band 9.
Yeah.
I have experienced band 9.
Band 9 is like the story they tell us about band 9 is that band 9 is like 2 marks from passing or 3 marks from passing. So it's more painful that, after all this effort, I still didn't pass.
Yeah.
Since I failed with that exam, which was my second attempt in CFA level 2 and my third attempt in CFA, till I finished the CFA, I stopped checking my results because I was traumatized by that experience, because I thought I was going to pass. I thought, after all the sacrifice and the pain and everything, okay? But the truth is, when you fall down, you have to learn how to rise again. If you want to cry. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and be crying. When I cry, I'm tired of crying. I'll wipe my tears and go back to sleep and wake up the next day again and do the same, until I get healed, and then I get the courage to write the exam again. So, but along the line, the truth is, if you talk about balance, I personally, some people will argue with me, and HR is here too. Mr. Denny might say, no, there is balance. For me, I think balance is a myth. When you talk about balance is, at every point in, the way I see it is, CFA is not a forever thing. It's for a fixed time period.
Thank you.
Now that the CFA is over, I can go anywhere I want to go. In fact, if you understand the relief that comes from when I passed my level 3, was the first time I slept in 5 years. That was the way it felt, like they've taken off a burden from you. Because even if you are not writing the exam, if you are not in exam period, you are waiting for the result to come out, your BP is still going up. You are preparing for the exam, you're having panic attacks. All right? Yeah. But in fact, when I passed, my family were like, my mom was like, finally, only God knows how much you paid on this exam. But the truth is, his story, I can't even remember, if not because these stories are documented, I can't even remember that, I went through all of those. Another thing is that when I was going to write level 3, I wrote level 2 3 times. Then when I got to level 3, when I passed, and I got to level 3, you can imagine the excitement, the expectation that now CFA, you're in trouble. I'm coming to deal with you. Now I'm in level 3. I'm going to pass and just make sure that we don't have anything in common. Let me just leave you guys. The week I paid for CFA level 3 was the week I discovered I was pregnant with my 3rd child. His name is CFA baby. Like, I just couldn't believe it. And then they didn't used to refund exam fees. So once you pay, you've paid. Yeah. So I was in between, okay, do I pursue this exam or do I leave this exam? The first thing I did was I asked a couple of my doctor friends, please, so does pregnancy affect your brain power? They said no. Okay, since it doesn't affect the brain, I was like, okay, let's go for it. And when I did the scan of the child, I'm not joking, the expected delivery date was the exam date. So I had a lot going on, like I should just drop this exam. And I had already decided I was going to write the exam in the USA. All right. I had, planned for the USA and all of that, this exam I'd registered for the USA. Of course, I could have changed my location as well, change it back to, because you could change it to Ghana then, but I was like, I already have a plan. I'm going to go with this plan with this baby. So baby, you are welcome to the journey. And I decided, I still went ahead to write the exam. When I got to the border at the US, they were like, okay, so what have you come to do? I said, write the exam and write exam and deliver. Okay, show us your exam stuff and show us. And they were like, okay, exam day, the EDD is not gelling. Your story is not gelling. Enter the room, we are deporting you. I'm serious. They were about to deport me. I went with my mother-in-law and my 2 kids, 4 of us. They passed those ones to go into the country and they were about to deport me. I didn't even know that at that time that they were planning to deport me. It was when I got to the room and then I saw one black woman and then I spoke to her in Yoruba that, please, what are we doing here? I said it in Yoruba that, please, what the people that are here, she said, what did you do that you're about to be deported? Me, I just like, why would they deport me? And eventually, when they were going to re-interview me at the border, the person was like, so why are you writing this exam? I was like, if you know what I've gone through to even get to this level 3, you just let me go. And that was how they let me go. And I entered the US and, you know, on the exam day, I kept talking to the baby, you cannot come, or don't come and spoil my own show. Sure, you decided to come. I did not say don't come. Please let me write my exam. I practically dragged myself to the exam. I was really, you know, I was really, really heavy. The taxi driver actually asked me the question when I said I was going to college to write the exam. I was like, are you sure you told me you're going to the hospital like this? But we wrote the exam. And I'm grateful I wrote that exam, even though I didn't pass. But that exam was a foundation for me passing my level 3 the second time. All right. So when we talk about balance, we shouldn't have this brilliant idea that balance is you can control your time, balance is you can do anything. And I like what Adeni said when he said CFA is a commitment, is a discipline. That's what it is. Because when you think about the content might be voluminous, but the content is not that hard. What they are testing from you is, are you a committed person? Are you a focused person? And that focus is for a while. It's not forever. Max, I mean, some people do it in 18 months, 36 months, or whatever time you choose. But if you think about it, that it's just a season of my time where I need to invest in myself. I think, I mean, it's something that would help, you know, to just look beyond the stress, the rigor of the now, and help you to know that if I have the end in mind, this thing will end one day. It will end. And you start attaching those 3 letters to your name and sharing your story and bragging about it. You won't even remember all the rigor that you went through. So let me take a pause and let's, Adeni talk, and then we can talk more on the real practical things to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Olarika. Thank you. I can't wait to hear what Adeni has to say after you, because it looks like how worse can it be now?
No, I mean, really, I mean, it's exactly my thoughts, and I mean, I was literally following, and you know, as you said earlier, it feels like Nollywood, Hollywood, and probably Bollywood rolled in one, you know, and I mean, it's really a journey of commitment. And when one says these things, is not to exaggerate, because it's exactly what it is. And I like what you said, Olayinka, as regard, you know, this thing just being for a time frame. And for me, the way I'd like to see balance, and incidentally, I was talking with some colleagues earlier this week as regard, you know, what we call work-life balance. And I would say generally that, you know, this thing is really about how much of trust you have in the bank that your close ones can draw from. All right. Because if at the time or before you started writing this exam, you had shown yourself to be one who is always there for them, who, you know, you is dependable and all of that. By the time you go into this exam and you need to draw on that, the trust that you've deposited in that bank, it won't be difficult. The same thing in the workplace. If one has shown oneself to be diligent, committed, one who can be trusted with, you know, different kinds of assignments to deliver on them and all of that, you know, before going into something that will take your time like this, it won't be so, well, I won't say it's easy, but it won't be too difficult to have your office, your boss, your colleagues understand with you when you need to take some time off, probably you join the work maybe an hour later than probably you should, or you have to close a little earlier. On Fridays, you have to go for lectures at New Frontiers and so on and so on. So I think that that's where it starts from for me, showing oneself to be trustworthy, so showing oneself to be dependable, such that when you need, because indeed this is going to take your time, and you cannot, like Alainka said, you can't possibly achieve some balance. You can't achieve balance writing this exam. And I remember that while I was writing, I was always, either always in the room reading or always in my reading space. And it was such that everyone in at home then. So I have a wife and 4 children, and unlike Olainka, I wasn't pregnant all through the all through all through the program, and that actually is a super plus for female professionals, and not just for the CFA program, but generally, when women have got to go through that natural process and all of that, but as I said, every family member for me understood that this was my reading time. This was my reading space, and so anytime I'm upstairs, everyone stays downstairs. Every time I'm in the room, nobody comes there to disturb me and all of that. And the mind that this is just for a while. And again, you are almost always calculating. At least that was my experience. When I'm sleeping, it's like the sleep is part of the CFA program. It was a deliberate sleep so that I could continue reading. It wasn't a pleasure sleep. It was taking maybe an hour or 2 hours to relax so that you could continue reading. I remember that I think it was 2018 World Cup. I think that was the one in France. The day Nigeria was playing, I saw myself reading for an exam, and I'm like, how can I be reading for an exam while a football match is going on? It just didn't jive, But again, like I said, it's the mind of this is for a while.
Yeah.
And if I'm able to focus on this and achieve it, then it will just be for me to, in quote, brag with. So ultimately, I think that, to the point I made earlier, for me, very, very critical is building a credible trust bank, that you can draw on when you would need to be skilled. There has to be that skill. You're going to be skewed towards CFA at some point, and the people you have around you, whether it's at home or in the office, would understand that this is why this skill is there. And at some point, whether it's skewed to the right or to the left, you are going to get your normal distribution after the CFA program. Thank you.
Thank you for that QM lecture, because that was QM. That skewness was QM, right? And thank you very much for that. I mean, I think this needs to be heard over and over. Because there's a lot of deception out there. It is what it is. So you talk about balance, right? And the most crucial thing here that is going to fuel your life in that period is the fact that you have made deposits, right? In the areas where people can actually trust that the exam is not taking you away from them. I mean, what your closest associates just want is just to know that you are still for them. Maybe not entirely available in terms of being physically present all the time, but that your heart is with them as well. Again, you don't make withdrawals where you haven't made deposits. And that's why if you try to do so, the machine will tell you is insufficient balance, insufficient funds. So the problem is trying to make withdrawals where you have not made deposits, right? And I think that's really clear and practical. Let me ask some direct questions. I remember when I was looking for a male figure to join me on this call. One Mr. Isaka didn't hesitate to just mention your name. That's the registrar of the school. Yes. Mr. Nia Adebayo. I said, good. I'm not even going too far. He's a brother, so I can call him quickly. And again, it didn't take you long to just accept to do this for us. So at that time, you were married, right? When you were writing your exams?
When I started, I was that was my 14th year of marriage.
What did you say? Did you mean 14th month?
14th year.
Wow. Like, how does that sound to you?
Very interesting.
Yeah.
If I can add, if I can just add to
Please take it away.
Let me just add to that. You know, he's very right, which is that you need support. At the time when my kids were little and all of that, my husband would carry all of them and just drive out so that I can have, you know, peace and quiet to study. And one thing that helps is if you are married, as you are selling the vision to yourself that, oh, I want to be a CFA charter holder, sell the vision to your spouse as well. And paint the picture of how much money, how much billionaires you guys.
I like you.
So that even when you want to give up, the person is remembering, this is our billion going, and would encourage you. I just thought to that's also a strategy.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So please let me also just quickly say something. And I remember that I asked my wife if she would be interested in writing the exam. And the reason for me wasn't because I knew that she was going to be a finance person. It really was for me. And, you know, and I'm saying that based on what you said now, as regard the vision, selling it to your spouse, selling it to your loved ones, you know, whoever it is that you have around you at the time. I think that it was for me a way of showing commitment. My wife showed commitment to me during that period. And I felt that I could reciprocate the gesture. You know, if she also goes on this journey, how much committed will I be? Would I be able to give her the kind of support that she gave me, you know, while I, you know, wrote the exam? And, you know, obviously she said no because she saw how rigorous, you know.
I was waiting for the answer.
You know, I mean, clearly, but you know, the beautiful thing is that she took up another program, which was not CFA, and you know, it was just around replicating the same principle of support, reciprocating the kind of gesture of support that one received, you know, while writing the exam, you know, for a while, you know, she was on our program as well.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. And I must say this quickly to add to what both of you have said. In my interaction with candidates, you know, I've met people who, for example, are moms, right? The female gender particularly. And, you know, they say, I miss my child, this, that. Sometimes I feel guilty and this, that. And I say, see, apart from the fact that this thing is just a temporary thing, right? The truth also is that first take away the guilt from your heart, because the reality is children also want moms or dads that they can be proud of, right? So let's face it, spouses, I mean, if they say there are 200,000 type of people in a world of 7 billion people, do you know what ratio that is? And your mom is one of them, your dad is one of such people. I mean, seriously speaking, that's a super dad, that's a super mom. You won't find a better hero, you won't find a better example, you won't find a better role model than that person in terms of they don't even need to preach hard work, they don't need to preach consistency. You just need to see it, that there is a certain lifestyle if you want to end up a certain way in life, right? And I think that comes, I mean, we are talking about the CFA charter, that the way I describe it, honestly, without any any restraint is, I think it's a global citizenship pass. I mean, there's no better way to say it. It's just what it is, right? And I think that people should be reminded that when you are making, you don't make decisions based on cost. You make decisions based on value, right? You make decisions based on value. If you want what everybody can do, I mean, you just do the maths. There are 7 billion people on Earth, and there are just about 250,000 people with the CFA charter. It's weird. It's really small number. It's extremely rare. You won't find one in a million. It's amazing. It's interesting, right? So you have to really, really, really think, about that. And I think it's something that is what I'm thinking about. So balance, life, work, the CFA exams. Balance is a myth. The reality is, before exam comes, what kind of dad were you? What kind of mom were you? What kind of spouse were you? What kind of son? What kind of daughter were you? What kind of employee were you at work? Right? What kind of employer were you? Because an employer can take on the exams. It could be an employer taking on the exams, and everybody is now finding a way to rally around the boss and support the boss, right? Even though I've had stories where bosses and their employees are taking these exams at about the same time. They both know they registered, but then boss goes to write the exam in America. An employee writes the exam in Nigeria. When the results are out, they don't talk about it. They don't have any conversation around that, right? But then we need to understand this thing. It is what it is. And don't forget that who you become will always be more important than what you get in terms of the license to practice whatever it is that you've learned in whatever program or endeavor it is that you take on in life. So thank you very much for those exciting stories. I mean, we didn't get it in complete, but you were married for 14 years. That's still a very hey, well, Richard, let's not even go that route because we won't finish this night. So you had children at that point.
Yes.
How many? How many?
4.
What did you say?
4.
Olayinka, can you hear what I'm hearing? No, am I the only one? I don't understand. So you had 4. No wonder the registrar didn't even think twice. He just mentioned your name straight. I should reach out to you. Man, that is serious. Like, serious. I mean, we are proud of you. I mean, New Frontiers, we claim you personally. We claim you.
and I claim New Frontiers back.
Yeah, this is really exciting. I mean, hearing your stories tonight, no one has an excuse. I mean, how do you write exam on EDD? It's enough reason to say I'm not writing again. In fact, they should call family meeting on your matter. They should call family meeting on your matter. Your mother, your father, your mother-in-law. But I thought it was just something like that. So EDD was just exam date and everybody accepted it and it just allowed you. Nobody said anything.
My parents knew because when I discovered I was pregnant, of course, I didn't take it funny. Like, I didn't take it funny. I was like, what kind of curveball is this? Like, what kind of, and then why did I know when I had already paid for the exam? But everything is a phase. I would like to touch on what you said about the mom's guilt. So if you think about, I don't know, maybe I'm a special being, but I don't feel any mom's guilt because I see it as the world I see is the world my kids will see. And if I'm more empowered, they will live better lives, right?
Definitely.
And the exam, what I earn now, I'm sure they take more than 80% of how much I spend on myself is mostly for them. Yeah. So anything that you are doing, think about it. If you're a mother, truly, you are doing it more for them than for yourself, right? Because whatever it is that you eventually get from it, they take most of the benefit from it. So if you think about it that way, don't think about it that you are being self-centered or being selfish, because that's where mom's guilt. I'm the one that I should be on guilty because I'm the one paying the price, sitting down, reading, not watching football. Nigeria is playing a match. I'm buried in my book, studying and all of that. And so I think that should help any mom here. And the funny thing, my kids can't remember that face. I'm sure they can't remember. So why do I want to kill myself on somebody that they can't remember? And even for Adeniyi's children that were probably older, I'm sure everybody has, gone past it. Everything and that's why we started by saying it's transitory. It's just a phase of my life. It's not a permanent thing in my life that I'll be writing CFA forever. Now I can control my time. I can spend my time, as I choose. But as at the time I needed to do something, if I don't do it, I'll have myself to blame in the future. And one thing about children also, maybe to help all the moms here, is children prefer that you show them what to do rather than tell them what to do.
Thank you.
So they see mom is, they will be the one saying, don't disturb mommy. Don't you see she's reading? Don't disturb daddy. Don't you see he's reading? He's busy. That's the way to show children that if you want something, you go for it. And when they see it, they know that, okay, that is a life lesson you can give to them, that if I actually want something, no matter how much I've procrastinated or how late I think it is, if I go for it, I can get it. Adeniyi mentioned something about procrastination. I procrastinated also. Then I got the CFA. I've always wanted to write the CFA. When I met my husband, I told him I want to be a financial analyst. I want to write the CFA exam. When I started working, I forgot about the CFA. The books that I got for the CFA, because my friend registered and I said, after your exam, give me the books. He gave me the books and I left the books on my shelf for 3 years. Every time I come back from work, my husband will say, but this is not this. This is not how you say you want to live your career. You're not right. When do you want to write the CFA? I'll start fighting. Leave me alone. I'm the one that said I want to write CFA, and I'm not. I say I'm not writing again. Is it by force? But until something pushed me, and really, the CFA exam is the best gift you can give yourself. It's unquestionable. It opens the door for you. This job that I have today, right? When I went for the interview, I didn't know who dropped my CV there. I work with EY. I don't know who dropped my CV there. At the time I went for the interview, they just called me for an interview. And by then I was already a CFA charter holder, but the CV they had was a CV of 2 years before, when I was in level 2. The reason why I got that job, I got into EY as a manager normally, and I didn't have consulting experience. Normally, they don't hire people that don't have consulting experience. I was probably the first person, and I believe so, that broke into consulting at that level, financial advisory. And when I was doing the interview, all right, the person that was interviewing me, who is now my boss today, was like, this lady I'm saying will be a very good fit for our business. Because if you have done the CFA and passed, it tells us a lot about you. At least I know where to start the conversation from. Because it shows you are committed, you are dedicated, you are focused. Because it's not, even if you are very intelligent, you still have to find time to sit down and read. That's just, I know there are some outliers. We know some outliers. I'm not part of the outliers. But I know that if I sit down, there's nothing I can't crack. I'll crack it. I'll know. So I just thought to chip that in.
Yeah.
I hope that's encouraging someone, especially our moms out there.
Yeah. And let's take it from where you stopped just now. So let's get into how the CFA charter really advances your career, right? Let's get into it. So you can't put in this much effort. You can't put in this much money. You can't put in this much time. You can't put in this much sacrifice, right? Of all kinds of things, if there is nothing you are getting out of it. So practically speaking, how has it advanced your career? I really want to know. You've talked about how, Olayinka has talked about how it has helped with EY. Getting into the role as manager without consulting experience. And I'm sure there'll be a whole lot there, and I'll come back to you. But please, Adeniyi, let's hear from you. In very real terms, how has it helped advance your career?
Thank you very, very much. And the way I would answer this question is, those letters actually have a way of doing some job for you. The CFA letters, themselves, they have a way of, just opening some doors for you. So I went somewhere on, today is Friday, I think it was Tuesday. After work, I had to, go see a colleague who, well, I had to visit that person at home that day. And I met someone that I had known for a long time. And the first introduction also, after saying, oh, this is our head of PM, and said, oh, he has a CFA. Do you know this guy has a CFA? He's a CFA charter holder. Da, 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 da. And, a conversation ensued between me and the other person.
Yeah.
And what am I saying really is, like I said, I mean, just the fact that you have those letters, just opens doors for you on its own.
Yeah.
But additionally, the fact that you have some degree of flexibility, the fact that you are able to apply the learnings of the CFA program in different areas. So I work in an investment bank, a merchant bank, I mean, indeed, an wholesale bank.
Yeah.
We've got the investment banking, we've got structured products, we've got asset management, portfolio management, trusteeship, financial advisory, debt solutions, coverage, corporate banking, even governance, risk management. All of these things are things that we've gone through in the curriculum, the body of knowledge of the CFA program. All right. I see that there is hardly any space that I cannot fit in. Again, like I said earlier, and this is without any iota of, exaggeration. I go into different spaces and I am able to contribute meaningfully from my seat as an HR person.
Yeah.
I'm able to, contribute to conversations in different, whether you call them departments or businesses, business units, and all of that. So that flexibility, the wideness of the program gives you the opportunity to be able to leverage different opportunities that come your way. And so whether it's, again, the different things I said earlier, whether it's in investment banking, whether it's in even research, whether it's the buy side, the sell side, financial analysis and all of that, the fact that you've gone through all of this within one program makes it possible for you to reach out to different opportunities as they present themselves. And this is something that I see practically happen in my role as the lead of the people management team in FBN Quest.
Thank you very much for that. I mean, how else would it have been? Because the moment you can, ultimately, it's about who is able to solve problems, right? At the level that you're able to solve them, then at the breadth in terms of, so there is the height of of problems you can solve in terms of, there's a way a graduate accountant can solve a problem. There's a way a chartered accountant can solve a problem. There is a way maybe a fellow of the Chartered Accounting Institute can solve a problem and all that. That's talking about the height of this problem, or the depth of the problem. But then there is the breadth where you are talking to HR, there's something, you have something to say. You're talking to the finance team, to the portfolio guys, to the advisory guys, to the consulting team, and you have something to say, right? So there is clearly, how does someone like that get into a room for an interview and is turned back? Because again, you are talking beyond the role where you are being hired for now. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So you're talking beyond the role, where you're being hired for. So it means this person can solve diverse kind of problems. There is breadth. Yes, there is depth that CFA program offers, but I think there is also breadth with the kind of mix that someone like you would have. And clearly, it's going to be very difficult to turn such people back. And I think that should encourage someone on the call. I mean, not to talk, I think that a lot of people who have done very well on this program didn't exactly even come from with finance experiences, right? I mean, we have a medical doctor on our faculty in New Frontiers. We have lawyers now, law graduates who are on our faculty, right? Not to talk of, all kinds of things, of course, accountants and all that. So I think that it should be something that should be speaking to someone on this call tonight and say, hey, it has nothing to do with your background, right? The goal is we want to advance our career, and this is where it gets us. Thank you very much for that. So, Olenka, let's come back to you. You had already began a story about how you broke into EY without consulting experience, right? And because of the CFA charter, right? So I know you like referring to yourself as a financial consultant, but again, you have tremendous breadth. There are people who probably don't know you today as someone at EY. They know you via your mentoring platform. They know you via the community groups work that you're doing currently. For example, I found out that the community group had grown from just a few numbers to over 80 and all kinds. And you're willing to create more groups, especially if we say there are groups for us that we need certain groups that do not exist. You promised us that you create those groups, right? So there is tremendous breadth as well. So let's talk about how that helps advance your career, right? How the charter has helped advance your career, breadth and depth. I'm sure you understand what I mean by that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So I touched on it before when I said that it's giving me opportunities to choose where I want to work, because people know the quality of the CFA designation. It's not a cheap exam. It's one of the most difficult exams in the world. It tops top 10 exams in the world. You'll find the CFA there. So it's not cheap. It doesn't come cheap. It comes with rigor. So first thing it's done for me is help me to be able to choose. I can't tell you how many, HR companies, looking for people that can do the work, that have the qualifications. And if you see most JDs today, you see them requesting for CFA charter is an added advantage, right? And so that's one of the things I've enjoyed. The second thing is that it also makes you internationally mobile. True. So you're not just sitting down here in Nigeria, just limiting yourself to content that you have in Nigeria. You're competing with other people all over the world to say, no, I actually deserve this designation. And it helps you to move. So for some of us you want to live outside of Nigeria. CFA designation helps you to do that, right? Because it's internationally recognized. And so if you see us here in Nigeria with the CFA designation, we just choose to be here because we believe in we believe in the future of our fatherland. So, the benefits are tremendous. And for me, the most important is the knowledge. Is that knowledge? It's interesting. The content is interesting, it's challenging, and it really has nothing to do whether you have a finance background or not. I've been teaching in New Frontiers for 7 years now, and I can tell you that most of my best students are those that didn't have finance background, and the reason is very simple. They are curious.
True.
They ask questions. They ask what you will regard as the silliest of questions. And it's in asking questions that you will know. At least I was a chartered accountant and chartered stockbroker before I started writing the CFA. Why was I failing? I failed. So it has nothing to do with background. It is you understanding the content of what you are doing. And people that don't have that background come with an outside-in perspective, because they are asking you questions on why. You that think you're an accountant, you know it all. You don't even know the why. You just know that, okay, you debit the receiver, you credit the giver. You don't know why. You don't know why. But they will ask you why and challenge you. And so it's a for anybody that wants to be in finance industry, you should get it. That's how I summarize it.
Yeah, thank you very much. So there is no doubt about it advancing your career, whether for global mobility, and more importantly, the knowledge you can't, and that's something you can't take away. Excuse me, you have the charter, right? Whether you're the CEO or you are not the CFO does not mean anything. You have the knowledge. It is what it is. It is what it is. There's nothing, right? There's nothing else to add about that. And I think that, and the fact that it helps career mobility, I think is something that Nigerians like to hear, because whether we like it or not, it looks like the Jackpot thing has come to stay, right? Or whether it's Jackpada or Jackpa, they say a Jackpa somewhere, you know. So it has that as well, right? I want to touch something very real. I want to hear your pass and your fail stories. That's what I want to hear next. Like, and you won't, it's no holds bad. You won't hide anything, right? So I want to hear your past stories. I want to hear your fail stories. But before you go on, one of the things I always tell candidates is that, interestingly, the CFA Institute never uses the word fail. All the results I've seen is pass or didn't pass. Is pass or didn't pass. Now, what that means essentially is that when someone didn't pass, it's literal. It didn't pass. You didn't pass through. You didn't pass through. You didn't have enough finesse. You didn't have enough knowledge to go through the sieve or to go under the bar, right? To go through the bar. You still have a lot of excess weight that needs to be shed. Or essentially, you do not know enough to pass. So you didn't pass yet. If you were to complete that phrase, it's really you didn't pass yet. Now, when they say you didn't pass, it's not whether if you want to make it a final full stop, you didn't pass, then you drop the ball. That's one story. Or you didn't pass yet. That is, I didn't pass now, but I will pass. I'll take it on. Which I think is the story of the people in this room today. I mean, we have a lot of back to back. I mean, I have law graduate that was smacking the thing 1, 2, 3 years like that and got out of the way. But I'm not exactly interested in the stories of those kind of people tonight. I think that it's good. We have those stories, but I think that I like to connect more at the level of the past and didn't pass. So, but I truly want your past stories and I want your fail stories as well. So any of you can go first. I mean, I'm just going to take a back seat and watch and listen. Maybe get a tissue myself and just like a movie. So let's do this. Who's going first?
Okay, let me go. I know that it would be difficult to come after Olayinka because our story is
I like that one.
Our story is more interesting than mine. So let me give the not so interesting one first. But before I go into the story, please permit me to just quickly, in a few seconds, touch on something that Olayinka had mentioned earlier as well. You know, the content and how that helps in, building you as a person. But I would really like to just link it to the balance, that you get if you enjoy something. Personally, while I was going through the program, I enjoyed what I was going through. I enjoyed the information I was getting. I enjoyed the knowledge. I enjoyed the process. I was proud of writing the CFA exam. So even before getting my result. I was happy going through that process, and it helped me, to cope. That sense of, enjoyment of going through a process, helped me achieve some degree of balance. Now to the point around the past story, the fail story. I think that let me go with the fail story first. So I did the level 1, level 2, and I passed both, at first try. Indeed, I would say that my level 2 was the simplest of all.
Wow.
My level 2
That's strange.
was, yeah, my level 2, I mean, I'm not kidding you. I remember what I was wearing that day. I was like, is this the level 2?
Okay.
Is this what these people have been? Is this really what I was almost jumping in the exam hall that but for God's sake, this thing is, I was so sure that I was going to pass the exam. I mean,
Wow.
what I mean is I was so confident. Obviously, after the exam, you still have that me thought, but the confidence was really there, and I was almost really jumping. I was literally excited in the exam of that. This is far from what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And then to level 3, I wrote level 3 3 times. The first one was the year of COVID,
Oh.
2020. Yeah. So we started preparing in 2019, and then we went into 2020, and we were meant to write the exam in June, and I was ready for the exam. I was one of those praying and hoping that they were not going to postpone that exam. I was ready.
Wow.
And for me, I think it was the postponement that did me in. I had too much time. I had too much time, and I think towards the exam, I didn't do what I should have done in terms of actually practicing questions. I read to the exam rather than practice questions, because I found out for me that there were questions that I had solved, months back, that I saw in the exam, and I was like, God, you don't
Wow.
have time to think in the exam hall. That's not the time to think about what could it be, what should it be. It's the time to just pour it down. So for me, that exam, I mean, PM was very good. That's afternoon session was superb. But the morning session, which was the last time we were doing the paper thing, I knew that just like I felt like I was going to pass for level 2, at that point in level 3, I knew if I passed, it would only have been a miracle, because I saw that I knew that there was hardly any question that I didn't know, but I had to be remembering. I had to, go back into my notes, fetch the answer, and so the time was not there. I did not finish. I didn't finish, and so I mean, it was the result was not a disappointment. But the one that was really very painful was the second one. That one, I was sure I was going to pass. The second one that I did, which I did not pass, I was so sure that Okpeo, this time. In fact, the way I felt after writing that exam was not the way I felt after I wrote the third one, which I eventually passed. And so I don't know how they did it, but the second one, I was completely disappointed. Completely. It was so devastating. The first one, I guess I was ashamed, but the second one, I will because my classmates thought I was going to pass the first one, and so I think it was shame for the first one, but the second one, I was truly devastated that I did not pass, because I felt that this time I did everything that was required to do. My strategy was tight, was okay and everything, but somehow it did not happen. And the third time, obviously, I did it back to back to back. The third time, in fact, the materials were like at my fingertips, and I was grateful, even though yes, at the time I was still a bit nervous. What would the result be like? But I was expecting to pass the third time, but the second time was really very, very, very painful. And as we've said a few times already on this session, I think it's really the courage to pick up that counts. And like Anka said, being able to pick up in spite of the disappointment. The first one for me was a bit of shame that Omo Ayabo, I failed a few, and people expected I was going to pass. And then the second one, the devastation and the disappointment of not getting the expected result, having put in the what I consider to be the quality preparation, because at that time I was just like, no, it was even an aberration for me writing it a second time. And the humbling experience of not still passing in spite of, because I thought the first time it was because I had too much time. My strategy was not tight towards the end of towards the time of writing the exam. But the second one, strategy was okay, but I just didn't, somehow I sure didn't pass. But the third time was, it was for me, ultimately giving glory to God, rather than giving glory to whatever it was that my strategy, whatever it was that I called my strategy. So the second one really for me was the most important lesson that I drew from the experience. That's the second time of writing level 3, which I didn't pass, was really humbling for me. And the courage to pick up from that humbling experience to go again immediately after, for me was a highlight of the program. So, like I said, this is not interesting. Wait for the interesting story.
Okay.
Very interesting.
It is interesting.
What what got me like, yeah, you saying level 2 is
I
the
mean,
easy. Are you
like,
kidding me?
who
Yeah,
says that?
level 2 is the most level 2 showed me Pepe.
Yeah.
Level 2 showed me Pepe. But I mean, well done. I have better respect for you. You
I
rose
mean,
level 1 pass, level 2 pass. But the funny thing, whether you write your exams 10 times or one time, nobody asks
yeah.
you.
No.
It's if you tell people,
Mhm.
and we are telling you because we just want you to learn. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
but that was
Really.
a very good one. And I like what you said about so it's not just the exam. And that just goes back to what we've been saying. It's not just that I'm reading to pass. You're developing character. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
Because if it's not even a CFA exam that is challenging you or humbling you, your boss at work can humble you too. And if you've been able to know that, okay, let me just, respect this my boss because he's my boss, or I tried something at first, I didn't do it well, let me do it again. Those are the character that you are building, because it's not just it's really not just sitting down and passing an exam. For me, level 1 at one sitting, I got over 70% in 7 courses. I'm very proud of myself for that. And then I got to level 2. First time I failed. I can't remember the band, but it was low. I wasn't really pained because I was like, okay, we didn't pass, we'll pass the next time, no biggie. And then I go out the second time, putting in everything I could. And then when the result comes out, I didn't pass it. It was very painful. Let me just put it that way. And I like I said before, since that day, I stopped checking my results by myself. So subsequent results that come out, I will send my email password to my husband. I'll say check, and then know how to break news to me. Doesn't know how to break the news to me. And then I passed level 2 at the third attempt, and that third attempt I did very well. I can't remember how many courses I got above 70%, but I did well. Level 3 first time I did not pass, not because I was pregnant. I didn't pass because I did not understand the strategy for the morning session.
Okay.
And the reason was because, and I mean, how I knew was because when I saw my results, the same courses I got below 50 in the morning, I got over 70 in the afternoon. So I knew what my problem was, that it was how to answer the questions.
Okay.
And for level 3, level 3 is a different beast on its own. Level 1 is a different beast. 2, I mean, for level 1, they are just trying to test your understanding of the concept. That's why you find distractors in your options. So if you don't fully understand the concept, they'll weed you out. For level 2, they want to know whether you even understand at all. So for level 2, all those distractors, you don't find them there. And for level 3 is on how to communicate, how to write. It's not essay. Short responses that don't give you time to think. So it means you must really understand the material. At level 3, we are testing how you understand the material and how you manage your time. So I don't have any failure story. Though my journey was 5 years, I can't even remember the journey. All right. I mean, we are done, we are done. We've moved on. I mean, there is life after it. But of course, at that phase is to just, keep in mind, like always keep the end in view. This is what I want to achieve, and this is why I want to achieve it. I think, that was it. Everybody has a unique story.
Yeah.
Whilst I used 5 years, I mean, I have a friend that's been on level 3 for like 10 years. He hasn't died. Yes. Yeah. It's life. I mean, the day it will pass, and none of us will sit down in CFA Society Nigeria. Nobody will say, hey, Lagbaja, when did you qualify? You sit down here, you come. No. Everybody has their race. Everybody has their journey. It's just to embrace your journey within your own circumstances, right?
Yeah.
And find how you can pass. Like, how do people do it? Because really, sometimes when I look back, I was like, wow, how did I do this thing? Married, because marriage is a commitment, is time consuming, with children, with work. Yeah, but it's possible. I mean, he has shown that it's possible. And I can't imagine myself in front of an HR that is CFA data. I won't come for the interview.
Adeni, we are watching, so be careful before we come.
No, that was just a joke. But of course, if I meet someone like Adeni it tells me a lot about his person, and then it tells me a lot about the organization he works for, and the fact that I'll be able to converse with him. He will appreciate, if he sees a fellow CFA charter, he will appreciate the designation.
Exactly.
That's just what it means. So that was just the so
I think what I find from this is there has to be an honest audit of what's going on in your life while you sign up for the CFA program. I think that sometimes, and this is with life, not just even with exams, I think people make a lot of assumptions. And you build models, Lainka, and I'm sure Adeni as well, would be familiar. I think the strength of your financial models, or whatever model it is you are building, is fundamentally dependent on the strength of your assumptions, right? So you won't have a better model that is than your assumptions, right? I think people make a lot of assumptions. I think people make a lot of unfounded assumptions. Assumptions themselves are already carry a lot of uncertainty around them. Then to now be unfounded is double trouble, right? I think that people need to do carry out a honest audit of their circumstance. This is the phase where I am with life. This is how much I can take. This is the reality of my life right now. This is the level of commitment. This is how much hands-on I have to be with the children. This is how much hands-on I have to be with work. This is where I am right now. This is where it can be. This is where I can find the extra time, find sufficient time, not extra, because extra makes it sound like it's a secondary thing. No, it's not secondary. I'm trying to choose my words carefully so that nobody gets the wrong impression. Because again, someone had rightly mentioned to me one time that when you have to make a decision between your job and your career, you should choose your career, because again, it's bigger, right? Anyone can offer you a job, but essentially you're responsible for building yourself a career, right? Building a career out of whatever it is you find yourself doing. And I think that the CFA just has a way of clarifying for you why you are doing what. So first off, we need, and I hope that I'm reiterating or re-emphasizing what you have said correctly, what both of you have said correctly, that see, there is a reality check that has to be done. You want to write this exam, don't be not deceived. Whatsoever a man sows, that will he also reap. There is, don't be deceived. In fact, the first rule at New Frontiers is there will be no spoon feeding. You will be taught, you will be mentored. In fact, you get more value than you pay for. I mean, the whole world knows that. But there will be no spoon feeding. There is no. You want that charter behind your name. You want the CFA, those 3 letters behind your name. Just like Olayinka was saying, when you meet a colleague, you both know to yourself like what you have both passed through. Whether you passed at 1 sitting or you passed at 10 sittings, you just know that if someone has the CFA behind his name, this person knows his onions, and this person has done the work, he has paid his dues, right? And it's like that. And I think that Nigerians are resilient people. I think the number of Nigerians taking the exams, passing the exams, earning the charter every year are growing significantly. That number is growing rather significantly every year. I remember there was a time when the Civil Society Nigeria was about to start, was that even to find maybe about 20 members or 50 members to form a quorum to even start a society was impossible. Today, we can carve out 5 societies from the existing one, right, if we want. And it's because of the growing number of people who are writing the exam. And everyone's story will be different. And that's why you have to do a very honest audit, where you are, for example, financially, where you are emotionally, and what's possible. But again, in looking at that, please don't get drawn in such that you are looking for a perfect situation. You will just postpone and postpone and postpone and postpone and postpone and postpone. If you are talking about money, let me just tell you today that the exam today is the cheapest it will be, right? So the prices, if it's money that is the issue, just know that this is the cheapest it will be, right? If it's going to be reviewed, it's most likely going to be reviewed upwards. I mean, economically speaking, you know how the exchange rate has since let's even take the beginning of the year, for example. It's not where it was at the beginning of the year. So if you need to make this decision, you can't even be looking at cost. You have to keep the value and it's in mind. And I think it was Stephen Covey that once said, I mean, it was him. The first habit of highly effective people is that they begin with the end in mind, right? You must begin with the end in mind. If you don't have a clear why, if you don't have a clear reason for what you're doing, then it's going to be difficult. I think that the biggest part of this, and Olayinka, I know that a lot of your candidates always tell me how I know at least one of the points that it just sticks with me, I don't forget. So on how to pass, the CFA exams. And I know if there's anything our candidates want to hear tonight, is how to pass the CFA exam. But I think we are doing well for time. It's 8 p.m. on dot. But then I will take about 10 minutes now so that I can give you time for a bathroom break or grab a cup of coffee, then come back yourself and Adeni. So while I take a very short presentation from New Frontiers to our audience, then when we're back at 8:10 or 8:15 at the very most, Then I'll take that question on how to pass CFA exams. Then we take a few questions and responses, excuse me, from our audience. Then we'll call the night a wrap, and we can move on to the other things we have to do tonight. But thus far, I think you people have helped us a lot, shared amazing stuff, and I think that even if we end at this point, tremendous value has been added already. So thank you very much. I'll give you 10, 15 minutes to stretch your legs. Then we'll come back and bring the session to a close. Thank you very much. All right, so guys, please confirm that you can, I'll share my screen right now. Please confirm that you can both see and you can see my screen and you can hear my voice. Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, you can see your screen.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you for that. So I'll just take it. So here we are tonight. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We began the interview. I'm on number 3, CFA and Youth 2025. Then we'll take the last part and I'll move to question and answers. I will call it a wrap tonight. But quickly, I'd like to share this with you. So this is a review from one of our candidates who is also a member of faculty right now. Says, this is Abiodun Agbola, CFA, says, I had a background in microbiology and crossing to finance was a lot. New Frontiers gave me that community and helped to really understand the CFA curriculum and make the switch that is required from microbiology to finance, right? So this is Abiodun's Group Derivatives Market at FMDQ Securities Exchange Limited, right? This is Oluwapelumi Fadola says, I received my CFA charter today. Congratulations. Having passed the 3 levels of the CFA program at first attempt and met the requirements of the institute. It was quite a journey, and I'm really grateful for this milestone. Many thanks to the tutors at New Frontiers Learning Center for the knowledge shared. Now, what's the CFA program? The CFA program, the CFA itself is the most respected designation for finance and investment in the world. Is administered by a CFA institute based out of the United States of America. About 200,000, excuse me, charter holders globally, with a growing number currently based in Nigeria. The charter requires passing 3 levels of exams. Excuse me. Earning the charter requires that you pass 3 levels of the CFA exams and 3 years of qualifying work experience and pledging to adhere to the code of ethics, right? And standards of professional conduct. Of course, again, you should know by now that the CFA program is organized into 3 levels, and each level is robust in itself, very, very robust candidate body of knowledge, and it's tested in about a 5-hour exam window, right? The CFA program, at level 1, you are taking purely multiple choice questions. At level 2, VNet supported multiple choice questions. A VNet is a short episode. So it's like a little episode is written and you can find your answers from multiple choice questions, depending on the context that have been provided by the VNet, by the episode. Of course, at level 3, you are constructing responses from vignettes. And of course, we are also doing multiple choice questions. So there is the vignettes, there are various episodes for the exams at level 3. But after taking a vignette, looking at the vignette, you are provided with multiple choice questions. That's one part. Then there is a part where you are supported with vignettes. Then from the vignettes, you then write out what you would call essays, right? Or something theory, right, about the exams. Of course, there are 10 topic areas from ethics to financial statement analysis, quant, portfolio management, equity, fixed income, corporate issuers, derivatives, economics, and of course, alternative investments. If you're planning to write the exams in 2025, level 1 is FMAN, February, May, August, and November. Level 2 is MAN, May, August, and November. And level 3 will be the fourth note FA, February and August, right? So that helps you. So FMAN, MAN, and FA. So level 1, level 2, level 3. Two times in a year for level 3, 3 times in a year for level 2, and 4 times in a year for level 1 exams. Right, this should help someone. Now back to New Frontiers Learning Center. Ours is a story that is born out of a compelling desire, excuse me, to help ease the journey of every CFA exam candidate in Nigeria. literally speaking, our founders had no support of any kind, right, while they were preparing for the CFA exam. However, they vowed to turn into reality the dream of every CFA candidate, and that's to help them earn the CFA, the prestigious CFA charter, irrespective of the backgrounds, so finance or non-finance alike. And today, after about 14 years of doing that, we've been able to support about 3,000 professionals who are all over the world. Today, we have candidates all over the world, from Hong Kong, from Canada, from Egypt, from France, everywhere, right? And we ask that you join the revolutionary and thousands of professionals to grow your career today. Of course, our esteemed founders, we love them so much. People who went beyond making a living for themselves but making a life for others. We're extremely proud of the things that these people do. You might know some of them, and if you don't, you go check them out. Ayokunle Ojo, CFA, Michael Ayima, CFA, Banji Fentola, CFA, and Olaniyi Okunbayo, CFA, right? So moving away from that, why New Frontier? Simple. The first thing, and one of the biggest things that we think makes New Frontier stand out, is a world-class faculty of leading investment professionals. In the words of one of our former candidates, it will be difficult to find that number of knowledgeable people within the same space at the same time. Tremendous people. We believe that our faculty are our greatest assets. And this world-class faculty of leading investment professionals will help you, move closer to your dream of achieving the CFA charter. Of course, dedicated mentorship. When you join our program, you are assigned to a mentor, not just because they understand the content of the program, but because they have taken the exams themselves, right? Several years before now, and they can help provide guidance, relevant guidance for everything going on around your life. Of course, it's about 14 years of experience and leadership in this market. They've been doing this like nobody else does, right? And we have testimonials that attest to that fact. We offer scholarships, discounts, and special offers. There are class assignments, monthly tests, and mock exams to reinforce your learnings, right? One secret about the exam is you must do a lot of practice. And we have found a way to build practice into our program, right? There is no class where questions are not treated. And we have a system in place whereby you always take on questions, right, to help reinforce your learning. We have a no pass, no pay policy. Of course, terms and conditions do apply, and you should reach out to us to find out what those terms are. Then a candidate support program. A lot of people have built their careers, found their jobs from joining New Frontiers, and we do a lot to constantly support our candidates at New Frontiers, right? Moving on from that, of course, this is Busola Jeje, portfolio manager at Cowrywise right now. She says, I'm happy to announce that I passed the August CFA Level 3 exams. My CFA journey has been filled with tears, caffeine, sleepless nights, panic attacks. But I'm grateful to God that I finished all levels at one sitting, particularly, that's my battery. Particularly grateful for the solid knowledge lens and how it has positively shaped my career, right? Special shout out to New Frontiers Learning Center I use for all my levels and my tutors, right? So what program fits you? We have a regular program and intensive program, which I'll be talking more about. I'll be silent about the executive program for tonight. But the regular and intensive program, where these programs are run both as live and self-paced. So if you want to come be a part of our program from any part of the world, right, you can join us live physically at our Victoria Island space, or from anywhere in the world at the times when we go live, where you can ask live questions and interact, right, with our candidates and faculty as well. This is our calendar, our program calendar in 2025. Again, I'm silent about the executive program. When you look at the program, it's like a sandwich. So from January to April, 16 weekends, we have our regular programs for level 1 and 2. Then by the time we come to July and October, we have the final one where we'll also run for level 1 and 2. Level 3 stays in the middle. That's April to July for 16 weekends where they take their classes. And you will see at April, July, and October, there are intensive programs. Those are 1 month programs, quick review 1 month programs for folks to say, hey, I can't be around for 16 weekends, but I can make myself available for 1 month, 4 or 5 weekends in a month, and do something intensive. I haven't read myself. I just need a brush up. I need to find out how to pull the low-hanging fruits and to succeed, as it were. Correct? So people are able to do that for you. Right. Then this is ongoing right now. I'm sure you must have seen this. This is a new program we created for our candidates. You know how you're going for an MBA program and then they have like a brush-up program for candidates and say, hey, let's do this to get you ready for your program. We have a free brush-up program that's coming up from next week, Saturday at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. 4 hours. On both Saturday, 16th and 23rd, for November this month. And on the only Sunday for this program will be quantitative methods on the 17th of November. For Sunday, it will be 12 noon to 4 p.m. Saturdays will be 10 a.m. to 2, and Sundays will be 12 noon to 4 p.m. It's absolutely free. It's not charged. It's an exclusive program. It should be an exclusive program for candidates who have paid for our program. But for this year, we are making it free. I'm sure by next year, it's not going to be accessible to everyone. It's going to be accessible to just people who are coming into our program. So make the most of this, take advantage of this, and be a part of this, right? And just get brushed up, get ready, for the exam. It's a way to know where you stand and know the things that I need to pay attention to as you prepare for the exams. Of course, our early start program, we started a free 80-day early start program as well, where you can have access to the videos, the self-paced videos of our immediate past class. So the material is still relevant, right? For level 1, for 80 days before your classes start in January. This is ongoing right now, and I think you should jump on it and take advantage of this as well. All this we are doing to improve your chances of success as a candidate. For our level 3 program, because it's level 3, they would have 120 days free, right? Same thing before their classes start in April, right? So all this are to improve your chances of preparing for the exams. Not just this, we have free materials on the drive, curriculum, mock exams, and all kinds of things that we give at no additional cost to you. Okay. For those who say, okay, I'm fine, I will just come in to join in January. After all this free program and all that, full classes will kick off on the 11th of January for level 1 and 2 this year. In 2025. Sorry, it looks like I'm already living in 2025. And physical and online classes are available for all levels, right? The interesting thing is, after you have joined our classes for 16 weekends live, you will still have access to the recordings of those classes from when your classes started. So if you join our classes in January, you will have access from January to December to be able to join those classes live. Of course, this is Folashade Ogunbayo. She says, the mock exams at New Frontiers helped me a lot. The feedback was always a good tool to judge my preparation level. If you need a prep center, New Frontiers Learning Center is a place. It's unbelievable how many intelligent people you have in one place. That's Folashade Ogunbayo that works with the World Bank Group, correct? Okay, if you're trying to reach us, this is how to reach us. newfrontierslearning.com/enroll, or talk to Mr. Olawale or Mr. Siaka. You will be able to reach out to any one of us. And of course, on LinkedIn, follow us to get the most recent information that we offer candidates, right? And there's a whole lot going on in that LinkedIn space. I think you should follow us to pick it up from there. Or enroll at newfrontierslearning.com/enroll, right? Okay, so that was that. So we'll take questions. Before we take questions, let me set the ball rolling on the final questions I want to ask. Yeah, so your questions can start coming in the chat, so that while they take this final question, we'll move on. So welcome back, Mr. Denny, and welcome back, Mr. Tinji. Now, let me ask you this final question for tonight before we begin to take the kindest questions. How to pass the CFA exams? I think that's why we are here today. So, and you have the floor. There's nothing holding you back. I'd like you to please just share with us tonight. How does one pass the CFA exam? So, Alanka, would you like to go first?
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, first thing first, I'll talk about when I think about passing the exams, I put it in different buckets, but I'll just focus on exam itself. My buckets are your psychology and then your health. That's how I look at passing the exam, but I'll just focus on the exam because of time. So when we talk about the exam, number one thing you need to know is that there's no shortcut. It's not when you were in university that you knew the lecturer and you could predict his questions. It doesn't work that way here. You have to study everything that is in the curriculum. There's no shortcut because they can ask you anything. Your 10% can be from all the things you did not study. That's why you can't take a chance to say, no, I'll just study this, I won't study that. It doesn't work. Now, in studying, in reading the curriculum, you need to know the kind of person you are. Some people are day people, some are night people. I am a day person. Everything I want to do, I do in the morning. I shut down later in the day. So later in the day, you can't get the best out of me. So you have to know the kind of person you are. Now, why is it important? So that you will know the best time for you to read. I'm not the kind of person that goes to work after talking and gisting with everybody, doing the work, and then come back home and start reading. It doesn't work for me. I'll be tired. By that time, I'm exhausted. But some people can do it. I don't know how they do it. I can't judge them because I don't know. But I personally can't do it. So what I do is I have a plan for myself. And that plan, I am true to that plan. Because it's like a commitment to myself. It's like you give somebody an appointment. That's the way I see it. I give CFA books an appointment to say, CFA, I'm reading you between this time and this time. And I must show up. And when I'm showing up, what you don't know, I have a book. It's still on my shelf today. When I failed level 2 second time, I then took a notebook and I was recording my hours. And that was like 2014. So that book is 10 years old. It is a treasure for me. And I record the hours I spend on myself each day. So what do? I try to sleep early. So when I come back from work, say whatever time, I try to sleep between 9 and 10. And believe me, I wake up by 2 a.m. and I read. So I read between 2 and 5 before I go to work. So I read from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m., prepare my kids for school. We go to school, I go to work. So when you see me at work, my day did not start at 8 o'clock. Oh, I have invested in myself before showing up at work. So that was my strategy. So if you think about reading from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. every day, that's 3 hours. In a week, that's 15. So even if I want to play during the weekend, I've already done 15 hours. You can't do 15 hours per week for 4 weeks in a month, for let's say 7 months in a year for an exam. You will not pass, even if you're a dullard. The problem is we are never consistent. And the way I did it was I never had what we call 0 days. 0 days are days you don't show up to read. I don't do that. Because I see it like you are trying to build muscle. You know, the people that go to the gym, they don't miss it because they believe that if you're not consistent with that routine, because our body loves routine, your brain loves routine. In fact, up till now, I wake up 4 a.m. every day, and it's from the discipline of 5 years from CFA. Even if I sleep by 1 a.m., my eyes will pop open by 4 a.m. My body is used to it. So it's important that you have a study plan. Let me tell you, we all have time. Is where are you spending your time? And I like the fact that Ayo mentioned audits. If you audit your time, you are spending your time mostly on things that don't concern you. Somebody is abusing somebody on social media. That's what and those ones are making money. This your true path to making money. So I stay committed to my plan. Like I stay committed. Third thing I want to say about that is, so first of all, I said know yourself. Number 2, have a study plan. Then number 3, know the examination. when Adeni was talking, if you listen, all these stories that we are saying, we are passing messages across, and the story is across board. So even if you pick somebody in China or America, it's still this story they will tell you, because we all face the same exam. Maybe the only thing was when I was writing, I used to use Kandu to read because there was no PHCN. All right, maybe somebody in China is not facing that, but the fundamental problem is the same for all of us. The content is a lot. There's a lot to read. There's a lot to remember. So you have to know the examination. What does knowing the examination mean? You have to know the content, and you have to be able to answer questions, because knowing the content is different. So if I pick portfolio management or corporate finance and I'm reading it, I'll think I know it. Get me mock. That's why people don't pass mock. Why? Because there's a difference between reading and being under exam condition. So you have to, as you are reading, you have to practice and practice and practice and practice until you can answer questions without thinking. That's the kind of level of competency that you require. When I was writing the CFA, I used to have a question bank that I work, like even if I'm going to work or I'm in the lunchroom, I'm looking at the questions and I'm attempting questions. Is that bad? Because CFA just takes your life, but they take it for a while and they give it back to you. You need to be able to solve questions conveniently, solve thousands of questions. For the level 2 exam that I passed, I'm sure I did solve questions less than 5,000 on FinQuiz. I used FinQuiz then. And those 5,000 questions were not cheap questions. They were difficult, because FinQuiz is difficult. They were very difficult questions. But by the time I was going to write the exam, I knew that there was nothing that they want to ask me that I won't know. So it is practice, practice. When you're tired, keep practicing, because you need to be able to answer questions. There are so many resources for you. You have the online-based tests. Those online-based tests, you just have to keep solving them and solving them and solving them until you know it. Because for the CFA, reading is different from application. You can read and not be able to apply. If I may just end with this, when I wrote the CFA level 3, the second time, when I was preparing for that level 3, somebody told me that I should be comparing my answers, because my answers to the draft answers from the CFA. And I discovered that, number one, I was not answering the question they set. I don't know, I was setting different questions in my head and answering. And then I didn't understand the way they wanted questions to be answered. And you can only do this when you sit down and you say you really want to practice. Another thing we need to know, my fifth advice is that you need to understand the brain. We always put our brain under pressure. You expose your brain to an information the first time and you expect the brain to know it. Your brain doesn't know things that way. Go and study about the brain. Your brain requires you to expose it consistently at least 17 times. So if I'm reading chapter 1 of corporate finance, I must read it at least 17 times. I must solve the questions at least 17 times before it becomes a part of me. So we always penalize our brain to say, oh, but I read this thing, I don't understand. You have to keep exposing, you have to keep seeing the material. And that's why if you are going for lunch, you can have it on your phone like an app and just be going through your concepts. And like what Adeni has said, it is loving what you do. Just love, just don't see it like I'm being punished. See it as I'm building something, you know, and honestly, I think that's the way to go. Another thing about the brain is there's nothing called multitasking. You can't be reading and be pressing phone at the same time, or be reading and be doing something else, checking your emails. This thing requires dedication, concentration, focus. I don't know how many times I've said focus, focus, focus. The focus is focus, dedication. Like if I'm looking at something, I'm really looking at it. My mind is there. Not that my mind is somewhere else. I believe with these tips, unfortunately, we don't know any other, there's no shortcut. If there were, we would have told you. The thing is, you got to sit down, right? and make that study table your friend.
Yeah.
And study. Once you do that, you put in that, you definitely pass. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Olayinka. Thank you so much for that. I was out of drink for a while, but I know that there is no way you will have missed out on that brain talk. That one is your signature. All your candidates tell me about it. You talk about brain foods.
If we still have time after Adeni, I'll get there. It's part
You
of
have
my physical strategy. I only
Good.
talked about knowing the exam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know that brain foods thing. You always talk about it. Like you know a lot about the brain, so it always comes in handy. Thank you very much for that. So, Adeni, let's have you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And just in the interest of time, I will not want to, because again, a lot has been said already, and I would just want to reiterate. And incidentally, this morning, I read a particular part in the scriptures, and he said exactly the same thing about repetition.
Yeah.
Just going over it again and
And again.
again
Yeah.
and again and again and again. That is the surest way.
Mhm.
And for me, I had a tracker. I had, a play, and it was an Excel spread where I had the number of times I had gone through each reading, So each paper, each all of those stuff that we had to do, subject areas, and the learning outcomes, the number of chapters. I just had everything tracked, and I color coded as well, and then I also had the number of times that I had gone through each material. For me, really, it's very important to be disciplined with the level of consistency. I think that that's really the surest way. Um, for me, I majorly focused on videos and used my curriculum as a guide when some things were not clear to me on the videos. But I know that some people were able to go through the curriculum. I didn't have the discipline or the time to go through all of the videos. I think it's again really knowing yourself, what works for you. Videos worked a lot for me, whether it was Mark Meldrum or Arif Infanula. Those were the two major ones I used. I knew the ones that I was comfortable with Arif on because Arif really followed the curriculum step by step, section by section. Mark Meldrum, not quite, but I found him very useful as well in a lot of areas. And then obviously the curriculum ultimately. But to the point, consistency and solving questions and then solving some more questions is ultimately the way to pass the exams. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I mean, if we spend the whole night, it's still the same things that will be said, right? About passing the exams. And at this point, I would like to start taking questions from our participants, right? While I'm getting ready to get the final words from leaders, from our speakers, rather, then we would call it a wrap tonight. It's been quite a long night and a very interesting one at that. But Olayinka, we haven't forgotten the brain food part. Please tell us before we we need that information.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Okay. So in preparing for the exam as well, you need to focus on your health because you need your body to support you. What you are doing is rigorous, and you need your body to be able to support you. And that health and well-being is your physical health and your emotional health. So in your physical health, you are thinking of eating right, taking enough sleep, because when you read, in fact, I was seeing a study yesterday and I was like, wow, CFA students need this, that you have an exam to write or you're preparing for an exam is the time you need to sleep more. It may sound counterproductive because you think, oh, me, that I have to read, I have to go to work, oh, I don't have that time. But you actually need your body to be well rested so that anytime you are picking your books to read, you are refreshed and you're energized. And the reason is because sleep also helps you to lower your stress levels, and it also helps you to enhance your health, because if you're not healthy, you can't write the CFA exam. Sleep is one of it. The second thing about the physical well-being is what you eat. So you have to be very deliberate about what you are eating when you are writing the exams. Most people do, they take junk food, they take carbonated drinks, they take a lot of sugar, because of course at that time you just think, oh, anything I have to eat, I'll just eat. But that's the time where you need to pay attention to what you're eating. You have to eat right, make sure that you're incorporating a lot of fruits and vegetables into your food, because all those things help you to pay attention. All right, you want your body to be able to know that, okay, there's CFA in the next so months, and you are prepared for that. You also need to get what we call brain foods. And brain foods are things like dark chocolate, walnuts, oily fish, nuts and seeds, whole grains, those kind of foods. Eggs, avocado, coffee, not too much. Those things help your brain to, they call them, develop neural pathways. So that when you are reading, right, you are actually, assimilating what you are reading. It's very important. Another last thing I want to say about sleep. Sleep is so important. And there's a science to sleep. Sleep is not just, I'm tired, I fall on my bed. If you actually want to sleep, when you sleep, you are supposed to be having what we call deep sleep. That deep sleep means that when I wake up in the morning, I am energized. I'm not cranky. I'm, ready to take on my day. And there's a science to it. And the science is that you are eating foods that make you sleep. So there are some certain fruits that, make you sleep, like pineapples, like apple, like 2 hours before you want to go to bed. Just take some of those food and they will help you to sleep well. Not that when somebody coughs on your street, you will wake up. Why? Because you are not sleeping deeply. I know that Denny mentioned something that when he's sleeping, he's also remembering the CFA, right? It happens to all of us, but you can also try to make sure that you're preparing your body to sleep. And you can just go and Google it, science of sleep and brain foods, because we don't have time. But honestly, if you can combine those things with, your physical well-being, your emotional well-being, understanding the exam, and even preparing yourself emotionally, psychologically for the exam, you would definitely pass. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, I knew that was going to be a powerful shot. So, and thank you for taking it on. I think it just confirms something that I always tell candidates. I see people don't fail exams because they didn't study or because they didn't read. They fail because they didn't read strategically. You have to be strategic. You have to. You have to plan the reading. I remember Denny was saying that even the sleep is part of the reading. Like it's meticulously planned in. And now you are saying that we should take sufficient sleep during the time of exams is when to actually take. I mean, it sounds counterintuitive, but actually that's what it is, right? If your body is going to perform optimally, if your brain is going to perform at its highest, what's that one? At its highest level of functionality, then it should get deep sleep. We can't thank you enough for tonight. And I know a lot of questions have been coming in. I'll take the chats quickly, then I would come. I saw B Solar Israel. I see your hands raised, and I'm going to call you shortly, please. But let me quickly take on this question on the chat, and I'll come. Some I will answer straight away, some I'll just allow a guest to answer because of brevity of time. So Rabiu Sabu Ahmed had asked, it says there is calculator for the CFA exam. Specifically, is it true? Oh, absolutely. There's a calculator for the exams, the BA2 plus Texas Instrument. But much more importantly, what I always tell candidates is this. Yeah, and thank you for that, Adeni. I always refer candidates to go to the CFA Institute website. That's because there is a calculator policy. That's because the information there can change at any time, right? And I'm not going to be the reason why you are using a calculator that was changed few days before. I always insist that candidates go and love that website. Go and hug that, go and be friends with that website, because when you start your relationship with them, it's a lifelong relationship. Even after you end your charter, you will still be interacting with that website, right? All your life. So please start the relationship now. You want to know about the calculator policy, you go there and find out. You want to know about the exam fees, please go there, because the fees are subject to change. In fact, I deliberately stay away from those kind of questions on these webinars, because these webinars can be picked up by somebody 5 years from now. I still want the information to be relevant to them, right? And I do not have control over what the institute say about its fees or all that, but right? So please make sure you visit. There is a policy for everything. Trust me. There is a deferral policy. There is a calculator policy. There are all kinds of policies. There is exam identification policy. They don't use driver's license to write these exams. You need to be sure. And even your international passport, even though I tell candidates this every time, they still come back and say, and give me a story. It's 2 weeks to my exam, something. I'm like, I don't understand. We always tell you this early enough. Even the international passport must have at least 6 months validity from the date of exam. At least 6 months validity. Right. So you have to check it. They update this policy. You are going to be a finance professional. Again, you've heard from Adeni and Olayinka. I think by all standards, they are veterans. And they are saying that, see, it is who you become as a result of going through this program. You cannot be someone who doesn't dig for information. Right? You must. It's important. I just wanted to put that out there. So BA2 plus, yes, but then it's subject to change. It's the institute, right? Olayinka was talking about band 8, band 9, band 10. They don't even use it anymore. It doesn't even exist anymore, right? And that used to tell you how close you were to exams, to passing the exams. But right now it's a different thing. They just show you a minimum passing score, and they show you where your results are and all that, right? So now you fare against other candidates. So I just wanted to put that out there. Okay, what's the pass mark for the CFA? I will have allowed them answer you, but the truth is, if anybody tells you they know the pass mark for the exam, that person must be telling a lie. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. The only thing we know, and you have to listen, when I'm going to candidate, I tell them you have to listen very well to what I am not saying, because we do not want, New Frontiers do not want the candidate to say, we said this, no. You need to hear what we are not saying. When our candidates come to our program, we show them myriads of results, past results and didn't pass results, right? Past results and didn't pass. We show them a lot. We show them the percentages, the averages, the score for each of the courses. What we have seen is that there is a 50% mark, there's a 70% mark, right? And that candidates behave at a certain level, right? You have to be hearing what I am not saying. Again, I'm so sorry, but it's how to do it. You have to be listening to what I'm not saying. Candidates perform well at a particular level, right? And that level, can it be 50? I mean, there's 70. You shall know what I'm not saying. So there's 50, there's 70% for each of the courses, right? For each of the subjects. So you have to look at it. Most candidates have passed, have done above whatever it is that is stated there, at least in 7 courses, right? Including, please listen to this one, including the big ethics. In fact, you don't call ethics just ethics, uncle ethics. Uncle ethics, anti-ethics. So ethics, if you pass all the exams, even at a 90th percentile score, and you do not pass ethics, you are going nowhere. This is an exam that doesn't joke with ethics. So ethics, and of course, FSA at level 1, right? The weightings allocated to that is very high. So that's really that about passing the exams. For that one, I think the second one I can take is from your experience, how long does it take someone with no finance experience at all to prepare for the level 1 exam? This is also relative, but I will allow, okay, let's allow Olayinka take this one. So how long does it take someone with no finance experience at all to prepare for the level 1 exam?
If I'm correct, on the CFA website, I think they put 250 to 300 hours thereabout.
Yeah.
Adeni, am I correct?
300.
Okay, good. But however, I don't know whether people read 300, but me, I read more than 300.
I mean,
Adeni, I don't know how many hours you read, but I read more than 100 hours. But it also depends on, our maybe how quickly we are able to grasp concepts and how many questions you are solving. But the CFA guarantees that if you do 300 hours or 250 hours, you will pass. And that's all you need, whether or not you are from finance or you are not from finance.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, true. Yeah.
It's fine. I think it's really to the point you made earlier. There is no advantage per se. I would say per se that having a finance background, gives you, because we've seen that people who had or who have finance background, doesn't guarantee that you would pass. So it's the same commitment, the same number of hours, and indeed what you said earlier, the openness, the fact that you come with an open mind and you listen more. In fact, sometimes that could even confer some degree of advantage on you,
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. So Ruth had asked, good evening, New Frontiers. Thank you for this great webinar. Please, I want to confirm if the exam can be splitted. Absolutely. If what you mean by being split is level 1, 2, and 3, of course, you don't take all the levels at once.
Oh, I think she's talking about, the person is talking about paper. So if you can take paper 1, paper 2.
It doesn't happen. There are 10, no. There are 10 topic areas and they are all at once. You write them at once. Right. Oh, I think I know where this person is coming. This person is coming from that place. I think I know that place. Blanca, you've been to that place now. You're a fellow there.
Yeah, but during our time, which was 20-something years ago, there was no split. All these benefits that people are getting. Yeah. It was fail one, fail all. You pick everything again.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that.
And you write everything. And you write everything at once as well.
Oh,
it's only if you have a reference on paper, then they let you. But if you have a double star, that's all it is. One single star or double star of failure. You pick all your papers again by the grace of the Almighty God.
Wow. So even the failures were depicted by stars.
Yeah.
Wow, that's serious. Wow, that's serious. Oh, that's enlightening. Okay, that's good. So again, it's one whole exam. And that's the thing. Even with study, it's holistic. I hear candidates say, I'm struggling with this on QM, I'm struggling with that. And I always say over the years, see, calm down. What you don't understand in QM, you will understand it in fixed income. It's an holistic program. You will be able to put it together. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. You'll be able to connect them eventually at the end of the day, right? So there is that as well. So, okay, Faith Ayola is asking, what's the name of the question bank? I think you said Fin Quiz. That was what Olayinka said, Fin Quiz.
Fin Quiz, but that was a long time ago. I'm sure there are more to.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what people are using now. Once you start your lectures, you know what others are using. You can just use it. And then another thing that is helpful is there used to be CFA Analyst Forum, right? I don't know. Yeah, So you can also join that forum and people, share their experiences. They share thoughts on how they are writing that level. And that will help you to know how you want about it.
I mean, Olayinka, you would be amazed. You would be amazed how many fora exist right now.
Oh, really? Okay, there was one. The name was just CFA Analyst.
I mean, with the advent of social media, Telegram groups, WhatsApp groups, all kinds of things.
Interesting. Oh, wow.
They are in their numbers. It's amazing. It's
Oh,
amazing.
interesting.
Right.
Then
Yeah.
we had only one, and it was where
Ah,
everybody in the world. Yeah.
oh, it's been
So,
decentralized right
but
now.
that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very good too.
Yeah. And of course, we have lots of past question and question banks that we give to our candidates for free at no additional cost when you join our program. So yeah, you would definitely get question banks. Don't worry. You in fact, it's to knock yourself out that is the issue. Okay, so somebody says he's fascinated by Olayinka's story and it's already put him out of his misery. Please don't die here. He's just leave here, I beg, to close down this. I guess they see you all at New Frontiers. You are welcome. We're waiting for you. Okay. Okay, so before I take the next chat, Bisola Israel, your hands were raised initially. I hope you were patient enough to stay because I was going to call you actually. Do I still have Bisola Israel?
Yes, please. Good evening,
Good evening, Bisola.
everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Olayinka. Thank you, Adeni. We are so blessed to have you people
Yeah.
around us.
Mhm.
Thank you. So please, I've got a lot of inspiration, most especially by women support women. In fact, it's actually mind blowing and it's relatable. But my question is that how do you undo like distractions? Actually, I can't say that's probably from family, but I'm just saying there are some. Okay, as we speak now, I supposed to write last this year around August, but I didn't. I got a scholarship due to financial issue. I couldn't write the exam, so I just took up the faith and I applied again for the scholarship. Thankfully, I was granted again, and when you have in fact the last time I cried my eyes to I can't even, but I knew that God is in control and probably I didn't write the exam for a reason. When you have fear of some uncertainty ahead of you, actually I can relate. I'm a mother of three. Last year, by God's grace, I earned my bachelor degree and I came out as the top student in my faculty and department. So telling you that I can relate with Olayinka's story. So how do you manage all these unavoidable pressures and distractions? Because though the exam is next year, I'm looking towards it, but there are no, I'm not really seeing that, and even the fear is there. I don't know how I can handle the pressure and I can continue study open and I'm working towards gathering enough to write the exam. That is number one. Also, when you are working in a particular field that is entirely not finance related, how does your work kind of space, how does it affect the exam? And I also had that, this is the last one, I also had that it's better you focus on the question bank rather than trying to read the materials. How true is that? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Adeni, I guess you answered these last two, right? And then I'll take the first one. Okay, so I don't know your circumstance. Maybe, we connect later. Maybe I'll do this. Let me connect with her later because I believe there's more to that. But just generally for anybody that is, maybe you have kids and all of that, you have to look for support. Support could be getting somebody to do the cleaning for you, to do the cooking for you. You don't have to be the one to serve food to everybody because you have an exam. Just try and manage. You have to learn how to manage. That's one of the skills that you're learning, as a woman that is writing an exam. And learn to be humble to ask for help. Don't assume that, oh, don't you know I'm reading? Don't you know I have an exam? Can't you support me? If you need help, open your mouth and ask for help, right? Let everybody in your family know that we are writing this exam and we are all writing it together. Father, mother, grandchildren, grandfather, everybody. Let everybody just know that at this point, even your friends, so they don't get offense that, Bisola, you haven't called me for 10 years. Just say, please, for now, let me focus on my exams. When I finish my exams, all of you will be proud of me. You'll be proud that you know me. In fact, one of the things I used to tell my husband is that I'm any CFA for your family name. Is there anybody from your family that has this designation? So So you just find a way to, you know, canvas people to support you. It's not an issue of be doing, I'm strong woman. I'm not strong woman, no. I'm a woman that needs help. I need help. If your neighbor can, well, because of nowadays, if your neighbor can help you babysit your children, if you can't get a nanny for 2 hours, you know, just find a way. But one thing I will tell you is that there is always a way. Second thing, fear is not of God, though. If your body, all of us, I mean, they read something now where they were sharing testimonials. Somebody said the panic attacks are normal. Even the person in Charlotte's Val that is living there is having panic attack that he wants to write CFA. How much more that you're 1,000 miles away? The panic attacks is normal because you have something ahead of you. It's the way of your brain protecting you to say, they call it flight or flee or something like that. Flight or something like that.
Fight or flight.
Yeah, it's a response of the brain to, Bisola, let's leave this exam, must we do it? It's your brain trying to protect you. So when those thoughts of, will I pass this exam? Will I fail? Just talk back to yourself. Is the situation talking to you? To talk back now than me, Olayinka, I got this, CFA, I will deal with you. You know that somebody came. You to respond. So don't entertain any fear. I mean, if you want to entertain fear, look at people that have done it now. Go on LinkedIn and check CFA people, all the people that have done it. They all have one story. That's why we are being vulnerable. Do you think I want to go to my place of work and let people know that I failed one exam 3 times? We are doing it because we want to tell you that something is possible. And when you want to give up, those are the stories you should be looking at. Look at Adeni. I saw somebody asking a question of 40. What concerns anybody's age? Does brain decline as you age? Excuse me? No, it doesn't. If it did, why are 80-year-old people becoming president at 80? They should just, I mean, so please don't limit yourself or create any unnecessary fear. Uncertainty, yes, everybody's writing the exam. Is that one is normal, but fear of I will fail, that's not normal, and you should deal with it. So that's what I'll say. Over to you, Adeni, for the last 2.
Thank you very much. I'll start with the last one, and I shook my head when she asked the question. You know, while it's important to answer questions, it's much more important to study and know the content, and not focus on or start from answering questions. Because how do you answer questions for something you've not read or something you don't know? You know, so it's very important that you study, and then intermittently, or as you go along with your study, you face the questions, you know, in order to check the level of assimilation, your level of understanding of the concepts that you have studied. So yeah, question banks, very, very good, but it's not about focusing on the question bank at the expense of studying. It's really a complement to studying. I remember I said earlier that I think it was, no, not I think, I know my first time of level 3, towards the exam, I did not practice enough questions. So yes, practicing questions have their place, you know, but much more importantly is understanding the concept, because again, the CFA exam is one that you would see that if you don't know the answer, it's difficult for you to guess your way through, you know, the options that you have, even for the objective questions. You know, it's difficult to, so where they say more likely, least likely, never, or something like that, if you don't know the concept, there's really no way of you being able to answer such questions, you know. So that's that on that. And then to the second question, even if you worked in an environment, and I think I've been in a situation like that before, where the primary work that we did was not finance related, and I think it changes very little. I think it changes very little in terms of how you approach the exam. I made the point earlier in terms of having a trust deposit, or you know, some credibility deposit, and it's not just about the home. It's also about the workplace. And if you are able to get enough support from your office, given the kind of person you've always been, at the time that you're going to be writing the exam, I won't say that it is, because again, I remember while I was going to LBS, that was a similar experience for me, having to leave work to go to Lekki every day. At the time, I worked at VI or on VI, and I had to go to Aja, not even Lekki, Aja campus of LBS. And sometimes, it was just a bit of a challenge having to leave, the office, the kind of support that you require from line managers or indeed the colleagues that you have in the office. I think primarily it's really a case of communicating, letting whether it's your line manager or your colleagues know what you are venturing into at the time, and getting as much commitment as is possible. That was what I did, particularly for that MBA program. I had to speak with my line manager, and I got some degree of commitment from him as regard him allowing me to go for lectures, particularly on Fridays and during what we called at the time intensive week at LBS. So once I got that, even though it did always pan out that he gave me the time as I wanted to, but it was easier for me, to leverage on, the quality of work I would usually deliver and the commitment he had given me, before I started the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I'm sure that question has been, or those questions were overly answered. I will jump to this question, then I'll come. Okay, let me just take it. So, can you please give some pointers on the study process itself? Did you take lots of notes? Did you have to practice lots of questions? Yes, I remember that had been mentioned tonight. Okay, yeah, thank you. Like I already attended to it. Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I will just allow you to read response. Thank you, Lanka, for that. That was really good. Lots of questions. She said 5,000. You were specific about that, right? And I see messages I've seen on social media platforms. The next process seems like it takes really long and may seem to be a waste of time. Those choice of words are really strong, right? I think you should be careful what you are checking out there, right? So again, be mindful of what you are checking out on social media.
May I ask, maybe I
You
didn't
should.
sorry to interject, maybe I didn't
You should.
share his thoughts, whether he writes. I write. I don't do anything without writing. But some
Mhm.
people don't write, and but me, I take notes. I like I like writing. Just is a gift to me. So me, I always write. But some people, I can't read anything without writing. Even when I'm reading, and even all these books that have nothing to do with finance or anything. Let's say I'm reading 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I'm writing. That's me. It doesn't work for everybody. Some people don't. I would like to know whether Adeni writes. So maybe this person can take his or her decision.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I mean, and it's interesting that you made that point, because I hardly write. I hardly write. I take very, very, in fact, I can't say that this is my, okay, yeah, I have a book, all through the program. I think I used maybe 3 notes. I think I used just 3 notes throughout. I remember that prof used to dictate to us in class, and I hardly wrote, but I used to write some. I found a way of having some acronyms, for a lot of the things that I concepts that I needed to remember, and then sometimes just put some things down in my own writing, so that, because again, for me, I'm able to picture things, and so when I write something myself, I'm able to see the time I was writing it, what I was doing while I was writing it, and the fact that it was me who wrote it, I'm able to connect with it. But otherwise, I don't write much, and that's the truth. Not with the CFA program,
Yeah.
not in the university, and that's why, for example, recall I said that I did a lot of video watching, or video listening, not so much of curriculum as it were. I did curriculum when I needed to reinforce some things that I studied while watching a video.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I'll take the last question tonight. It's been about 2.5 hours already. I need to wrap this up. Okay, thank you, FK. Okay, I'm good. That helps you, FK. So just to share, so I didn't forget your question. I was gonna ask. So it says, just share to says, I'm just curious. Was Ms. Olayinka always productive and extremely stellar at work for 8 working hours after waking up so early and reading for 3 hours? She says she finds herself really tired at work after starting her day really early.
Okay, thank you very much. Sure. So the issue about being productive is a holistic thing. And that's why we talked about food. Also, what are you eating? Do you take a lot of water? Because sometimes when you say you're tired, you're dehydrated. I didn't mention that water is your friend. Everywhere you go, you must have your water. We might just think that, what is she saying? I know what I'm saying, or right? And if you can, see, there's no way, even if I want to go down the street in my car, I go with my bottle everywhere I go. Like, I'm always, you don't find me taking carbonated drinks, all those drinks, anything. It's just water. If I go for a party, it's water. Now, issue about was I stellar at work? So you shouldn't see your CFA does not replace your career. It's an add-on to it. So you can't say because, and that's what Adenia has been talking about what was your pedigree before you started the exam. Your CFA is supposed to help your employer to add value, not that I'm writing CFA and then I'm useless at work. They would have sacked me now. If they sack you, how will you pay for the 2,000 naira per dollar exchange rate? So your work is also very important, but you can help yourself to make sure that you are not tired. So if you sleep, and our bodies are also different. If your body can't do, but with time, so you don't have to start with 2 to 5. I didn't start with 2 to 5. Maybe I should have said that. I started by doing 3 to 5. And when I had mastered 3 to 5, or if it's even 4 to 5, you can do 4 to 5, even just start. Sleep at whatever time you want to sleep. Wake up 4 to 5 or whatever will suit you. Start with an hour of reading every day and then graduate to 2 hours. When you have mastered the 1 hour, then move on to 2 hours. Don't just, because if you even start off to say, I just like, if you go to gym and you want to build muscle, you don't just get to the gym and carry 1,000 kilograms. You will kill yourself now. You have to build it gradually. When you've mastered 1 hour, go to for 90 minutes. You will enjoy it. You will want to, and you will keep going, because it can be daunting if you want to start with how I started by saying, oh, I did 2 to 5. No, just make sure that you are taking it easy. Take it bit by bit. One thing that the CFA helped me to realize was, no matter the journey you want to take, you only need to start with the first step, honestly, because when I was going to start, it looked like, 3 levels, 3 years. But by the time you write the first one, you pass. You move on to the second one, you pass. Before you know it is done. Really.
Yeah.
Before you know it is done. Now, I started in 2012, finished in 2017, 5 years. We are in 2024 now, 7 years after. So assuming I did not start, I'll still be looking for how to start. Because, and I like what I said before, there's never a perfect time. You will never find a perfect time. There will always be something. So it's just to, as human beings, just make up your mind. I want to do this. I want to get this done, and prove to yourself that you can actually get it done. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If I allow it go beyond this, it will become 180 minutes and my conscience can't take that. You have tried. Thank you so much tonight. So parting words. What would be your final word to everybody on this call, whether whether someone who is trying to get into the program at level 1, whether it's a level 2 candidate or a level 3 candidate. So someone who hasn't even started, right? And just thinks, okay, I just came here to be inspired tonight, and I'm sure a lot of inspiration has been drawn. And for not just for this people, but for the lots of people that will eventually watch these videos again on YouTube and all kinds of things like that. So what do you have to say? What would be your parting word to any candidates? Olayinka, let's have you go first.
Okay, thank you very much, Ayo, for this opportunity once again. And thank you everyone for staying, still hanging on the call, despite how long this webinar has been. I would like to say, number one is that you need to have confidence in yourself because you can actually do this. And why do I know that you can do it? Is because there are proofs of concepts that is possible. All right. So if you look at all the people that have gone ahead, it actually shows that it's possible. And it's something that you can achieve irrespective of what level or age that you are. It's the role is actually not relevant. What is relevant is, does this thing fit into the plan or the kind of career that I want to build? If the answer is yes, I will say, please go for it. Second parting word is to say, you haven't failed until you quit trying. Nobody calls you a failure until you stop trying that thing that you are doing. And so if you are on this call and you've attempted the exam at some point and you didn't pass, please just dust yourself up and keep moving. The world is not for the intelligent, the world is for the determined. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, Olayinka. Thank you. Strong passing words there. And I'm sure someone has found hope tonight from these words. Okay, so Mr. Adini, let's have you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And again, literally, thank you to New Frontiers for this opportunity. I think that one of the things that we should have said, when you ask the question as regard, success tips, how to pass the exam, is to say, please go to New Frontiers. New Frontiers is, I would say, a sure bet. So again, I mean, when you said, we claim you, and I said I claim you right back, New Frontiers, it's really true. So again, thank you, New Frontiers, for this opportunity that you've given all of us, to have this experience, to share experience with one another on the platform. And I would just say again that this journey starts with one step. I mean, like I wrote a few minutes ago, I remember very well the day I put a call through to one of the founders, Ayokule Ojo, and it was just that one call. Once I made that call and I attended the first class, it was a Friday. That was it. And I think that it's also about seizing the opportunity, the moments in life. If I did not start at that time, I don't know if I would have started today. So it's really seizing the moment. We've said earlier that there probably will be no best, time in terms of everything, all the lines are all the stars are aligned, but just making the most of the opportunity as they present themselves. Again, I mentioned my MBA was at a very, very, very challenging time. I think my wife was pregnant at the time with our first, and a few things going on in the office at the time, but it was something that I really wanted to do at the time. And to the point I made earlier, I truly wanted to have my MBA in LBS. And so I enjoyed the drive every time going to LBS. And so at the end of the day, just have the picture of how you will react. For those of us who listen to the program that comes up on YouTube every morning at 7 o'clock, if you know the one I'm talking about, how will you shout when your testimony comes? How will you shout when the result comes out? Again, I remember how I felt, my reaction when the result was released for level 3. So that can actually be an encouragement, your reaction when you finally make it. So that's really it. Thank you once again for this opportunity. Thank you for listening, and God bless us all.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone tonight. And I'm glad that we had a very fruitful and engaging conversation. I'm sure that a whole lot has been said. But having said all this, again, it's not just been said for now, it's been recorded for posterity. If anybody wants to see it even after now, even if your children want to take CFA exams and they want to listen to this 25 years from now, it's going to be on www.youtube.com/New Frontiers Learning Center. It's going to be there. So it's recorded and it will be in the clouds for life. But what's most important is that you take that step. You take actions. And I think that one thing I must say is that the exams are already tough. Why complicate the process, right? And I think that if there's anything that we try to do at New Frontiers is to ease the journey. It's a tough journey. Let nobody tell you anything. Let nobody tell you. It's not a joke. To be a CFA chapter holder, it's no joke at all. But we understand how it works and we know how to help. And we hope that this webinar has been able to help you tonight. I'm confident that you will take up the next step and we would be able to support you on your journey. Thank you once again, Olayinka. We can't thank you enough, both for the work you do in the classroom and the one you keep doing every time we call you to join us here. And Mr. Adeni is joining our faculty in January as well. So all his LBS experience and his CFA will bring to class, come to class, right? Thank you so much. We're excited to have you on board now. And to everyone who has listened, thank you so much for giving us of your time. I wish you all the best and we will see you at the top. Thank you very much. God bless you. And to my team, the people that make this work, I'm just the one showing in front of the camera. They are the ones doing all the abracadabra, so they are super. In fact, the only way I can have an issue with you at New Frontiers is to have an issue with them. You will know me personally. Please don't have an issue with somebody called Olawale and don't have an issue with somebody called Mr. Isiaka. Those two people solve problems for the whole world, right? So thank you guys. And of course, don't have to write my faculty down. We'll write to the institute. You won't write exam again. We'll personally ensure that your result, if you write it, we'll write your result. So thank you guys. And we look forward to seeing you and we wish you all the best, right, in your program. Thank you very much. Good night, everyone.
Learning is the #1 tuition center for the CFA exams in Nigeria. Our founders went through their CFA journey with little or no support of any kind. However, they vowed to turn into reality the dream of every CFA candidate earning the CFA charter, irrespective of their backgrounds, finance and non-finance alike. It is this commitment to support our candidates that influences our engagement of a world-class faculty, partnership, scholarship and discount offers, our online learning management system, and so much more. Our clients' outstanding results across all levels of the exams every year attest to the quality of our top-notch physical and online program in the last 10 years. That's right, we have been impacting the industry for 10 years and have supported about 2,500 professionals in that time space. Register with New Frontiers Learning today.